Hello. I was wondering if I might trouble you for a cup of strong black coffee, and in the process engage you with an anecdote of no small amusement.
Hello, and welcome to another episode here at Nerdherder. I am J-Dub.
Yes.
That is Boop. I never know if I'm introducing you or if you're going to introduce yourself.
Yes.
It is a yes day. And yes, we are here, you're here, and we're glad you're here because we are here to talk about some Star Wars with some lovely, lovely guests. We below the Patreon budget on guests. If they ask where the check is, it's in the mail.
The
I
good
don't know
sweet
what to
boys
tell
are
you.
here.
Yes, because as always, whenever we think of a particular topic, we by now know our pickle weird space friends, whatever we call them now, so well. We're just like, oh, they would be perfect.
They would be, and they are.
Sometimes it's also a matter of, oh, they would be perfect, and
Yeah.
they don't like each other, and then we get this episode with Jared and Scotty that happened
One
where we
of the
talk
best
about Sith
episodes.
and just a lot of
We all talked
sarcastic
about
comments. we talked about Asherat.
It's true.
You talked about Maul. Scotty, I don't even know what he was doing.
Is Maul my Asherat
I
hat?
stopped paying attention to my own show for a second. But yeah, we think of amazing people to join us for amazing conversations. And that's what we have for you today, as always. But before we get there, just some shout outs and housekeeping, as always. You might be tired of hearing of it. You may see it all the time on Twitter, but we're going to constantly remind you that Amidala Initiative exists at Amidala Helps on Twitter, and it's something you should be checking out and supporting if you can. If not directly, if you want to do good, but also like look out for your number one homie yourself. Look, there's people that are selling art, merch, all kinds of things that go on to benefit
Some
Amidala
dope
Helps.
stickers.
Like us, get some Nerdherder merch and support Amidala Helps, or just pay it directly, whatever. But check it out. Amidala Helps is supporting Equality Texas, which helps with LGBTQ plus families, particularly trans youth, those who may be affected by current legislation, but just in general helps them have access to things that people should just have access to, regardless of who you are. And so something you definitely want to check out. But also, What Choice Fundraiser. I was told it's not an initiative.
No,
it's
is
a
not.
fundraiser. I don't know that part matters, but it's okay. What Choice Fundraiser, which is helping to support access to healthcare for those with uteri. That's the right word, right?
Uteruses.
Uteruses.
Yes, those seeking abortions.
I went to school with a uterusa. No.
How dare you steal my joke and then do it poorly?
Normally it's anime, but we'll
went
get
to
there.
School with an anime.
Anyway, for anyone who might have been affected with the repeal of Roe v. Wade, or just in general needs more access, more education, more help to all of the things associated with contraception and parenthood and all of that, guess what? What Choice is helping support some great organizations who directly impact that. So, two great organizations that have information in the description for you to check out if you haven't already. And if you have, do it again.
Just check it out, man.
The uteruses aren't going anywhere, man. Well, I mean, just do it. I don't know what this intro is anymore. So let's start the episode. We've got the lovely Eli and Jacob from In a Galaxy Pod with us today.
The sweet boys.
Hopefully they can save us from this insanity.
Thank you so much.
No breaks on this train. How are you boys doing tonight?
I am doing all right. I'm doing fine. I'm happy to be here. I was absolutely blushing at that introduction, and I absolutely second the two organizations that you mentioned. I know they do great work, and I wholeheartedly support what they are doing. So I appreciate the shout out for those as well.
Absolutely.
You have a good.
Oh, go ahead, Eli.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say you have a good talent of selecting guests who do in fact hate each other, as Jackson and I do.
That's true.
I'm glad I have talent in one area of life. I'll take it. I will take it. Yeah, I love the heart behind it. Like, yes, you could support organizations directly, and you know what, nothing's stopping you. But I just love the passion of Star Wars fans that when stuff happened, when unfair legislation was happening in Florida and Texas, Star Wars fans responded, spread information, put together fundraisers. When Roe v. Wade went backwards, like fans jumped on that of, all right, this is a chance for us to put into practice what we've learned from this galaxy of fiction that we love. And that's what makes Star Wars and the things we love so meaningful is it's not just a movie. If it can inspire you to do amazing things like this, Star Wars is so much more than movies and comics and TV shows.
Absolutely.
It's special.
It's therapy.
It's therapy, yes. Many a time have I come home and I'm like, it's a Phantom Menace kind of day, you know. I don't know. I've
Oh, yeah.
never asked this. I've been very forward. We've been very forward.
It's
Like
true.
the Phantom Menace is like our comfort Star Wars movie. It's our favorite. Do you guys have like oh man, I'm having a day. I'm in a mood. I need to put on some Star Wars. What's the one you're putting on? It's
Wow,
not in the script.
that is
That's
a good
tricky
question.
one.
Eli, you want to go first, or should I
Um,
take this? I have an answer if you need time.
Do you have anything? I'm still trying to figure out mine. I have a few floating around my head.
Eli's like, what's a Star Wars?
There's 9 movies, so
You know,
no pressure.
and this is a bit. I feel a bit odd saying this even, but it's got to be Attack of the Clones. And the reason I
Wow,
say
I
it
love
feels
it.
odd is because when I originally watched the Star Wars movies, I did not like Attack of the Clones very much. But as the years have gone by, as I discovered the Clone Wars, as I discovered novels, as I discovered comics, as I discussed and got deeper and rewatched and rewatched and rewatched, I grew to like it more and more, and it's my esteem for it kind of just went up and up and up, and now it's definitely one of the ones that I turn to. And actually, when Eli and I were doing our chronological rewatch, really long time ago, actually, or a long time, it feels like a long time ago, a couple years when we were doing Attack of the Clones.
2 years.
That's when it hit me, and I was like, wow, I've really done a full 180 on this movie.
That's awesome.
It used to do nothing for me, and now I watch it and I feel like I'm being wrapped in a warm fuzzy blanket.
I
we
love
love to
that
hear
so
it.
much. We're big advocates of like give things other chances. Come back to things. I could like beef today and tomorrow be like that's disgusting. What the world? No, give me some jalapeno poppers or something. Like people change. I mean, and film opinions are no different.
That was a weird metaphor.
I don't think these things through. Okay,
I can tell.
Also, I'm hungry.
Poor baby.
But my point, I love hearing that people return to something, and regardless of where they started, it could be absolute hate, or it could just be meh. But hearing you come back to it, and it's like, no, I like this. I dig it a lot. That's awesome. Eli, have you thought of one?
I do have my answer now. I was
Okay.
trying to think, should I say a cancelable take on here, or should I save it? And then I'm like, on Nerdherder, definitely I should. So I'm gonna say it.
Okay.
Twitter, go wild. The last half hour of The Rise of Skywalker is so incredibly feel good. And I love it so much. And there's nothing that hits quite more than than Poe saying, there's too many of them. We're surrounded, and Lando coming in. There are more of us, and seeing the entire fleet come in. Like it's just one of those great moments. And also Rey Skywalker is one of those also fist pumping moments where you see Rey finally achieve her destiny and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you. We've got Juice in the chat who appreciates
Juice?
my shotgun analogies. I'm not familiar with that, but
Got one in the chamber.
I think I just throw it. Oh, okay. I was gonna say I just throw it at the wall and whatever hits. I
like
don't know.
spaghetti.
Like spaghetti.
Gotta make
there
sure
you
it's
go.
done.
Yes. That's a wonderful reminder to anyone checking it out after the fact. Maybe you're in the future and you're listening to this on your ride home. You could be having more fun by checking it out live, and we'd love to invite you. No, Nerdherder and Drive, absolutely.
You'll just be throwing up your hands in confusion too many times, and letting go of the wheel is just not a good idea.
But it's perfect, Jacob, that you mentioned coming back around to Attack of the Clones, because one of the original titles for this that was too long and vetoed very quickly was ended the Clone Wars has, because I feel like Bad Batch season 1 went hard on all right, we're closing the chapter that is the Clone Wars, we are moving on, and we're not quite obviously to Andor, we're not to Rogue One or Kenobi even, but we're no longer in the past. And so I think it's interesting, 20 years later. Now, this premiered last year, so a little less than that, but 20 years from when we saw this begin and got the answer to what was old crazy Ben talking about when he said Clone Wars, that we see we're moving on. The galaxy is moving on. When this was announced, did you instantly have any ideas or theories what this was? Because this was a big surprise for me, because I was just glad to get those Bad Batch episodes in season 7. I was like, okay, that's finally canon. They're cool. I'm done. And then all of a sudden, no, they're getting their own show. So did you have any oh, maybe this can happen, maybe that's going to happen? Did you have any thoughts beforehand of what this might be? Or were you just booping it up and just I have no thoughts at all?
Head is empty as a Ming vase.
Just waiting for Dave Filoni to
Bad
give
Batch
you
was
whatever
one of
you want.
Bad Batch was definitely one of those series that slipped under the radar for me. I remember there were certain projects I was more excited about and certain projects I was less excited about. And Bad Batch, I saw the announcement, I was like, okay, we're doing this.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I didn't hate the idea. I'm just like, of all the post-Order 66 stories you could tell, this is the one. That's an interesting choice. And the show, to its credit, I think proved that to be a very good choice. I remember the entire season kind of a little bit worried because they were introducing so many familiar characters in. I'm like, oh no, let me guess, they're going to be in some hot water, and then Ahsoka's going to save them at the end of the season. She's just going to come back for the 17th time. And I love Ahsoka as a character. And they didn't do that. I'm like,
but it is a thing. It is a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can enjoy it and also acknowledge no, that's a David Filoniism right there.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of sums up. I think I was in the same boat with you of just oh, okay. I mean, I'd been asking for more animation, and especially after they'd brought Clone Wars back for season 7, I was like, okay. I mean, beggars can't be choosers, I guess. What about you, Jacob?
I'm trying to think back, and I can't remember exactly how I felt about it. I think same as Eli, it was definitely one of the projects when it was announced. I kind of went, okay, we'll see, we'll see. I definitely didn't have huge expectations. I didn't come into it having a big problem with it or really, really having high hopes. I kind of just, I think like a lot of people, I was kind of just like, it's probably just going to be, season 8 of the Clone Wars or whatever, we'll see. And, so I think from that perspective, I was pleasantly surprised with where it went. I wasn't always, I wasn't always thrilled with the execution of the season as it went on, but fundamentally very happy with it nonetheless.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's another thing that was kind of coupled into it, because it was Clone Wars animation, because they had just shown off Bad Batch and everything. It did feel like, all right, this is the way we sneak in more of this thing. But I and maybe that's why it had such a definitive all right, we've got to draw the line and separate that show, that era from what we want to do with these characters in this story. The way you mentioned that makes my brain go, oh, maybe that was the point. Now, was I right in assuming that you were just whatever. I'll take what they give me. Or did you
mean-
have some thoughts about it?
You weren't wrong. The thought was clones. Yes, I enjoy the clones.
Fair
I'm
point.
excited about this. Like I feel like I had a lot of the same enjoyment of it that I did the Domino Squadron arc.
Mm.
I love individuality in clones, and I love when that gets to be shown off. It's so much fun, and I want to see more of it. But it's very likely that we're not going to get any more of it.
Well, I mean, we're getting season 2, and I think that's a good start. Sorry, Boba has thoughts, and we're not listening, so he's grabbing his toy.
Squeaky toy, yeah.
That was everybody. Check your Boba shows up unprompted on your bingo card. But
yeah,
we're getting season 2. We're getting more of this, and what I like is that they're leaning into this is a clone show.
Yeah, as we should have more of, honestly. Like there's so many different perspectives in the Clone Wars era.
Mm-hmm.
We have
many that you enjoy.
Exactly.
Yes.
Many that I very much enjoy. And we've only tapped into a few. I really want more stories, like from a certain point of view, from the perspective of other generals, from clones, even from like separatists. I think that would be excellent storytelling. I want to know,
what love is.
Well, yes, that too. I want to know where more people fell in line with the Empire or not the Empire. Like, I have a lot of thoughts, and my head is not as empty as it may seem sometimes.
Well, no, yeah, that's selling it short.
I have a coherent thought once in a while.
A lot of times, actually, you just have a superpower of being able to turn it off and enjoy things that I wish more Star Wars fans could have.
It's the benefit of
100%
not giving a heck.
Now, I mean, and Eli, you mentioned like, okay, this is the post Order 66 thing we're gonna do. Like, we've been getting a lot of that lately, and I love that this is uniquely clone perspective too, because I mean, and understandably, like Order 66 kicks in, they are not who we knew them to be. And so obviously the perspective has been and is primarily intrigued with Jedi. What do they think? How are they going to get out of this? Or how did this, iconic Jedi meet their end? Like, it's always Jedi, Jedi, Jedi.
Mhm.
And so I didn't expect this show so much to take that. No, this is post Order 66 for clones.
Which
and
is a story that I've wanted for a long time.
yeah, and it was a little bit different than I'm sure you or many would have been like but like and not to jump ahead, but what I'm excited about is getting fan favorite clone characters like Cody to come back in season 2, so we get that perspective from someone who did commit Order 66,
Yes,
albeit
he did.
ineffectively.
He committed very hard. Didn't finish the job, but committed.
Yeah.
And so
or
I
as the meme I love to. I was gonna say, as the meme I love to quote says, everybody's doing a great job except Cody.
Except Cody.
Yeah, pretty much.
He did his best. I'd like to think that he missed on purpose because like that little bit of love of Obi-Wan kicked in, but no.
Right. And that, yeah. I mean, who knows? I look forward to where his story will go. Actually, so like for me, that was one of the things like, all right, this is announced. What could make this more interesting? I was thinking about Cody. I was like, I want to see characters like Cody, those that are on the other side of Order 66. I want to see how they're experiencing things.
Mm-hmm. I want a panic attack.
And I thought that would be a part of what we got in season 1. I see why we didn't, so we could get to know these characters.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited that is.
And we did, like Crosshair.
Well, true. We got it with Crosshair and we got it with Hauser. We got some perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Cody's like Obi-Wan. We talked about Kenobi last week, and we talked about Obi-Wan as this poster boy for the Jedi. Cody is the poster boy for clones.
Yes.
Like, he's the good boy. He follows the orders. I want to know what he thinks about all this,
Mm-hmm.
So
I just had an awful thought. What would have been even more effective? That moment in Kenobi with the clone holding out his helmet.
Oh, if it was orange?
If it was Cody.
Oh, yeah. No, Cody's too good for them to put in the gutter.
It's true. He probably was, folded in to the first batch of stormtroopers.
I was actually thinking about that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I was gonna say I was thinking about that scene just a few minutes ago when we were talking about like the clone's role and all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, it's interesting to view that scene as like, because we don't know what's happening with the Bad Batch, but that could be their fate if they're not careful.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
They could end up begging on the streets.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I mean, by and large, when Clone Wars happened, we had the beginning and the end. I mean, we had the end to an umph degree. Like we knew where they were going for 20 years from now, but we knew, all right, war starts on Geonosis. We know war ends, execute Order 66. So like with Clone Wars, there was pizzazz and energy, and there was draw and attention. But at the end of the day, we all know where this is going.
Yeah.
And not to say that took air out of the tires at all, but with Bad Batch, this is a completely new idea, new show. I think it's exciting to not know where these characters end up, to not have a definite, because in episode 6 at 35 minutes and 20 seconds we see that, we know this means they make it out. Like we don't know what they're doing, what they're up to 20 years later. So,
and I love that. I love all of the freshness that we're getting right now.
It's becoming so increasingly rare in Star Wars, I think, to get that freshness. So I absolutely agree with you all that it's incredibly exciting to see, especially in a TV show, not like, often some, book or comic that some people are going to read, but it's in a very popular among Star Wars fans, a very popular TV show.
Well, and I think the era of Mandalorian and Boba Fett are really good for that, because they exist in a period where there's so much time that so much could happen in the 35 or 30 years. Eli, you're the nerd.
30.
30. Right, we're called Nerdherder. Yeah, Eli is the secret nerd in the Nerdherder.
Elfrona.
We're the bantha.
Eli is a trivia demon.
By the way, Elfrona, I do want to do a little parenthetical on Elfrona. Jared's been wanting that planet to be destroyed. And technically, in the most recent issue of Souls, in the Soul 100 thing that he did, Kylo Ren orders for the Elfrona outpost, the High Republic Elfrona outpost, to be orbitally bombarded. And I texted that to Jared when I found that out, and he was like, okay, justice has been served.
Justice.
There you go.
That's because Jared gets Kylo, and Kylo's a bitter little boy too. And I say that lovingly. I love that bitter wide boy. Okay, don't come for me. I don't remember my train of thought before Elfrona, which can we just all agree is a stupid name? Like,
I don't know. I like it.
Of all Star Wars names, man, Elfrona.
Elfrona.
That sounds like some 1700 Victorian girl's name. Like, 1701. The most popular name for girls was Elfrona.
Put that in your trivia and smoke it.
No wonder Jared could. I side with Jared on that one. Okay, I'm sorry. That's a silly name. Who would remember that? Who would remember that?
We're not gonna have
the funny thing about that is not that he didn't know it; it's that he did, and he was so close. Like he knew the planet I was talking about. He just couldn't pull the name. That's what I heard about it. You were talking about the period between Jedi and Force Awakens, though.
Yes, 30 years. Yes, man, Eli, you are invited on every show from now on.
He's our producer.
You are our producer now. We will pay you in Skittles. Yeah, like Mando and Boba, and I just rewatched Boba, so I'm kind of biased.
Nerd.
But he could live a long and fulfilling life and die before Episode 7 happens. Like, as a Boba fan, I'm perfectly okay with that, and that still leaves us all of that time to play with. That's very freaking interesting. Getting shows like Andor, I'm excited for. Getting movies like Rogue Squadron, I'm excited for, but they play in a sandbox that's got beginnings and ends and prerequisites.
Oh man,
it's got to be interesting and fun to be able to play in something that, like, other than you can't do that to those characters, like your little clone boys can do whatever they want, and that's exciting, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's something so fun about, like you said, the sandbox of it all. That's why I'm so excited about Taika Waititi's Star Wars, because, as he said, completely new, completely unattached. Well, it's in the Star Wars universe, obviously,
sure.
but
As long as one of the vampires from What We Do in the Shadows
Just
randomly
Viago.
shows up. Just somebody in the background.
Hello,
Creepy paper.
No, I would give anything to see Nandor in Star Wars. As a huge fan of that show, I would give anything to see Nandor like using the Force.
Now that actor, like make him a Jedi in a heartbeat, because man, like
he is wide,
built like a tank. Like I want to. And even like he was messing around in that one episode where he was teaching the doll how to sword fight, and I'm like, no, he's like legit. Like, give him a sword fight scene in this show. He's amazing.
It's in one of the teasers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm game. I am game.
I just need Taika to voice stuff in this movie too.
It's true.
Yeah,
I need more of him.
He's already set a precedent with IG-11, and he's great at. I think he's an underrated actor, actually. And I think he needs. And most importantly, he knows how to execute his jokes.
Absolutely. Eli, have you watched the Gay Pirate Show?
I have not.
Our flag means death, for context.
Yes.
Because, I mean, that could mean anything.
Put it on the list.
No, I've heard boob talk at large about the Gay Pirate Show.
No,
yes, you have.
Eli has seen the pirates who don't do anything. Don't, you know.
But they're not gay, they're vegetables.
The vegetables can be whatever they want, man.
I don't know. I mean, I'm a little suspect of Paul Great.
Anyway, I do agree, though. Like, one of the things I really enjoyed about Free Guy, it was Taika. Like, he was a full-on character. And he's great at little tidbits and everything, but he was a full-on character, and absolutely what you said. Like, he knows how to do that. If he wants a character to be a certain thing, he's probably the best to do it. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm just waiting for the Nutty Professor version of Taika film where he just plays everybody. Like, and if that's his Star Wars,
he becomes the D. Bradley Baker.
Exactly.
Oh, D. Bradley
Yes,
Baker.
thank you for bringing us back to the actual topic that we're talking about.
So,
no, I was actually. It's funny that you mentioned Free Guy because immediately when I was talking about Taika as an actor, my mind went to Free Guy because I'm like, I was watching that movie and I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to root against Taika Waititi.
And what I love,
this feels wrong.
Yeah, I watched an interview with him recently, and he's just like, yeah, I probably looked on Google for 2 hours preparing for that role.
Yeah,
I'm like,
he started the Wikipedia page for Blackbeard, read that he was from, like, I don't remember where,
somewhere with Bristol. A weird accent, where he was like, I'm not doing that accent.
Exactly. He didn't even finish the Wikipedia.
You know what I want Taika to go on record is like, yes, for Star Wars, I read I, Jedi, like 36 pages, and then I felt pretty confident in making a film.
I mean, I'm down with it.
I read like 47 and a half pages of The Crystal Star, and we're good.
I read the true sequel, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, and I gotta say, they knew what they were doing back in 1977.
I can't read, and you guys are saying a lot of words.
The Crystal Star. You should do an entire episode on The Crystal Star, because that is.
You're the producer now, man. We'll do whatever. You're the one who keeps us on track at this point.
I know we're joking, but that's the energy that we need in Star Wars. I think a little bit more of that would go a long way. I think even as someone who takes issue with a lot of content in Star Wars, I can be a bit of a grouch, I'll admit it. I definitely think that it's just better when everyone involved, we all take ourselves a little bit less seriously. Everything gets a whole lot better.
Agreed. I think that works for anything. I mean, Taika obviously inspires thoughts of fun and creativity and color and whatnot, and progress as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think anyone's touted progress in the MCU or in modern television quite like him. Like he sets a precedence for, no, we can go there.
Yeah.
But in the same way, I think when we back off of ourselves and get a little less high and mighty. The emotional stuff, the sad stuff hits a little bit more to the inspiring stuff, like all of it, because a show like Kenobi had so many high emotional moments. For someone to take all of that and still nitpick and gripe it, I'm like,
I didn't like the character.
Like, just even you can, to the fact that you can deny the emotional value there, even if you don't like some of the execution or whatnot, that you can still look at it and be like, no, it's not anything. It's no substance. Oh man, that's kind of sad, because
I've just decided, for my purposes from now on, specifically about Kenobi, to just not accept any criticism about that show because it's perfect.
Fair, completely fair.
I respect it.
It's amazing.
It's my favorite Star Wars live action TV show, and there's one small issue I have with it, and that's literally just, I really wish they hadn't done the you get stabbed with a lightsaber and you don't die thing so much. But that's literally it. That's literally it. That's my one thing, and I can.
Would you like to be?
And I'm like, but that's not even really a complaint I have with Kenobi in specific. It's really like, it's a bigger canon thing, which is like, hey, when people look like they're dying, can they actually?
Absolutely.
No, and I mean, and I get that, and that's the thing, is it's just like there's plenty to get. Like, a big thing for me, and I don't know if I had mentioned it last week, but I know, like, when we're watching, there's like, after the fact of like soaking it all in, thinking about it, I'm like, I kind of wish this scene was maybe a hair shorter. Like, some of the scenes lasted a little longer than I would have, but I'm also not a director or involved in any way, so it's like, it's just a me thing. And so there's those things,
David Lynch level of lingering.
There's those things. There's those things though you can look at, like you are, Eli, of like, no, this is a me thing. I'm still going to enjoy myself. And again, like, you can have me things about Star Wars, but to deny the substance that's throughout there, like, I think you have to be pretty well up your own butt to ignore that.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with Bad Batch, I think, is like, so often what I hear is that animation is, like, second class.
No.
Not even just in shows, in film as well. And like, just this idea that animation is inherently childish and inherently softer when it comes to how it does storytelling. Bad Batch and Clone Wars Season 7 especially, but Star Wars animation in general, I feel like has never pulled punches.
I mean, for Pete's sake, Twin Sons, it's an entire like samurai movie in 5 minutes. That's all you need.
To doom anyone?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have a Doom Wolf sitting right there.
We do.
He's a good point.
Twin Sons is just beautiful. Yeah, Bad Batch has grit to it. It does. It has emotional stakes in it. It like, I'm thinking of the scene in Battle Scars where Wrecker is his chip activates and they're trying to pin him down. I'm like, that hurts as a scene.
That was
really
scary.
Mm-hmm.
And the other scene, I think it's in the next episode, Reunion, where Crosshair traps them in the thruster of the ship, in the engine in the back, and they're trying to escape that. Like, that is chilling. That's thrilling, and that's very suspenseful. And like, there are moments I could compare that to in live action that have the same amount of punch.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think something that Star Wars does so well over and over, is
go ahead.
The familiar monster. Like, it's the creature and the villain that you know. Like, this could kill you. They're not being themselves. I mean, you can get that with Anakin. You can get that with Wrecker in that scene. Like, it's a trope that hits so hard. And I apologize for interrupting. Go ahead.
You didn't interrupt. I was trying to edge my way in without
right. I love the hand raise. It's
without having to go. Yep. But yeah, it comes with the territory when we're all
absolutely. And there's just this inherent, like, we're gonna talk over each other. It's fine.
That's part of my podcasting journey was accepting that there's going to be some overlap. But circling back to,
if anything, brag about it. Be like, You know what? Alex Damon interrupted me once.
It's true. Jerry Cable has interrupted me several times in our friendship. Go ahead.
I think for me, getting talked over by Alex and Molly Damon might be my biggest flex.
Talk over me, Star Wars daddy.
In this
Come on.
universe.
Ew. Please keep talking so that he doesn't have a moment.
I wanted to circle back to I realized we're getting very off topic. I'm sorry that we're dragging us a little bit.
Oh, that's a Nerdherder episode, Jacob.
But I wanted
Welcome
to go I wanted to talk a little bit about the, animation versus live action, and going back to what you all said about people seeing, especially within Star Wars, animation as being second to class, as about being inherently more limited. But as a diehard Rebels fan, as a huge fan of the Clone Wars, as someone who watched and really enjoyed, for the most part, really enjoyed Resistance, I have to say that I think there's this problem where, from my perspective, you have animation, you have live action, that is kind of a Venn diagram of what their capabilities are in terms of what they can evoke. I mean, I guess anything can evoke anything, but their capabilities, how they can communicate the story, what they can do artistically, and they overlap. But as Star Wars fans especially, we only focus a lot of the time on that overlap of animation's capability. And Eli and I were just watching and discussing the other day, we were just discussing Star Wars Visions. Mm-hmm. And I think that really brought that into clarity, all the ways that show creates this art that really couldn't be created in live action, and it accesses these different dimensions and these different ways of communicating the story and these different ways of bringing the audience in. And I think that's something that hopefully Visions will kind of say, hey, wake up, we got this potential here, what are we going to use it for?
No, absolutely. I Visions can only exist because it's animated, and it highlights the beauty of, like, Visions, and I'm almost certain they were leaning on that even in the marketing of, like, this is taking full advantage of animation in Star Wars. We're going to have fun. We're going to have some of the top talent come in and do this and tell some amazing and unique stories you've never seen before. And it's absolutely what it felt like. And I'm glad that that's something that's continuing as well, where we celebrate animation. Obviously Star Wars being owned by Disney's a big company about that, about, like, highlighting, no, animation is kind of amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. And so I think that, and absolutely, that animation, just because it is animated, doesn't in any way take away from the quality of Star Wars story that we get in this. And no more than this being a clone show does it take away any of the value of what this Star Wars story is. Because that's another thing, is it's just like, all right, we're not really, like, we threw you a bone in the first episode. We had little baby Kanan, Caleb show up, right? But after that, really, the split off is pretty harsh of, like, all right, now we're just with this band of good boys, goodish boys. And so, but, like, losing the Jedi, losing some of the familiars, didn't lessen, I think, the Star Wars-ness of this story at all. Did you expect this to fully take on a clone perspective like it did with Bad Batch?
I did expect. Sorry, Eli, you could go right after me. Sorry, if I talk over you. I did expect that. I think because a lot of the online banter and just what people were throwing around was, it's season 8 of the Clone Wars. That was kind of what it was, to me at least, and in my experience of the rollout. That was what it was kind of unofficially billed as. But I was completely unprepared for kind of the ambition with which they took that on, and the commitment to really see that through outside of just the clones as warriors, and outside of kind of the way they had been explored Even though it was really fantastic what they did in the Clone Wars, really treading new ground after that, especially what they did with Omega and the clones' relationship.
For sure.
With Omega.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and that's the thing is that just because it's about clones, it didn't feel like these are clone soldiers. It didn't feel like this is just an adventure with clone troopers. I think they did try hard to explore each of them, and that did help it feel still like something was happening other than just a side story to the main Star Wars thing. What about you, Eli?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was expecting, again, Star Wars and expectations are always a very, very tricky game to play, and I can talk for hours about that. But I was gonna say, like,
Sure.
I was definitely expecting some stuff for the show. But one of the things I was gonna say that surprised me the most about the show is how many appearances we got from those ancillary characters that we've already established. And I think that was sometimes a strength. I think they could do that less in the second season. I know we got Gunji coming in, and if we do not get Katuni as well,
of course,
I will have some big questions for Lucasfilm because I know everybody likes Gunji, but like, come on, Katuni is the best one of
Where's
the six.
Katuni? Is she safe? Is she
yeah.
all right?
Literally, me when I saw that Gunji was back, I'm like, okay, Gunji, cool. Katuni, where is she? All I want to see is her with Hondo.
Yes.
Oh, for sure.
Her with Hondo and them palling around, and then she finds her way in the galaxy. But anyway, I am like, Rampart, Omega, the guy Roland from that one episode, Sid. Who else are like the original characters introduced in the Bad Batch? There aren't that many.
The Montreal mixed sailor.
No, there was another one. The senator they rescue from Raxus, but that's and I really do enjoy a lot of their adventures with young Hera and Trace and Rafa, which I think, by the way, that episode with Trace and Rafa is the most underrated episode of that season.
So good.
No, I thought that and Hera, like, I'm glad you mentioned Hera because like that was probably the biggest curveball and surprise for me that I absolutely adored her showing up and obviously Hauser and his relationship to the Syndulas overall. Like that was a perfect post Order 66, like, Republic meets the lower class kind of story. So I thought that was really good.
I was also thinking the other one I was thinking of, the other familiar character I was thinking of was, of course, we got to talk about the return of Cad Bane. We hadn't seen him in 10 years. We hadn't seen Cad Bane in 10 years. Yeah, and that one was the real one that was shocking to me when we saw those clone troopers it was clones shot down on Baraka, and we panned up to see Cad Bane. I'm not a Cad Bane fan, and I will readily admit that I almost lost it. I was like, oh, they're doing this. Oh, yeah. He's back now.
I think definitely I had that reaction mostly because and technically it's not canon, but like that story reel they showed at Celebration years ago of the unfinished episode with him and Boba Fett, like the showdown that they had, I had forever been like, oh, that still happened for me. And so seeing him, I'm like, whoa. But I love that they do technically call back to it in a fun way. Yeah, I'm like,
yeah,
it still happened. Like, you talk about, like, oh, can we stop with the getting stabbed and walking it off thing? Like, Cad Bane apparently got shot in the head and just walked it off.
That's what you do, man. You never been shot?
Yeah. Again, not absolutely crazy about that, but like, again, it's often like my thing is, if the character does interesting things after their fake out death, then it's fine for me. Like that's actually why I love Palpatine so much, is that like the Palpatine story we got in 9
was like just so incredibly bombastic and like just going for it.
Well, and I mean, Grand Inquisitor goes on to do
Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, no, I mean, oh, absolutely. I am so glad Boba survived, which he always did in my heart. But yeah, Grand Inquisitor, like I remember Grand Inquisitor was the first in a long time of like growing to really turn around on a character by the end of the first season of Rebels and everything. And so I was glad to see a little bit, or I was hopeful to see a little bit of a new perspective of him. And we kind of did. I liked the extra like sassy sarcasm we got in Kenobi and everything, but he definitely went on to do greater things.
Yeah. I really like.
I know Jacob's not a big fan of. I know that Jacob's not a big fan of Rupert Friend, but I love Rupert Friend so much. It's those deliveries though.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing for me is like on the third rewatch, I really like hung on his performance a little bit more and really enjoyed, like I said, just the snarky, like acidic comments that he makes. I'm just like, like he would be fun in meetings.
Does wonders for the will to live.
Also, he had
my favorite quote in Kenobi is not something that Obi-Wan says. It's not something that Vader says. Not something that Reva says. It's "Hello, third sister." You can just hear the vitriol in it. It's so great.
I just imagine him like bouncing in the background. Is it time? Is it time? Is it time?
That part was pretty good.
That was good.
It was so petty. It was so
which
petty.
is so perfect for him at that point.
The way he sounded so bored too. He was definitely like trying very hard to be nonchalant. He's like, I'm just gonna say it. Like, and then he was like, hello. It's just like no feel like he practiced it in the mirror the morning before for sure.
If nothing else, his deliveries are fantastic. Like if nothing else, if that's the only reason they got him to play it, fine. I like I'll back off of my animated actors thing for now, but I am still bitter Ashley's not in getting her own show, but whatever.
We've had so many conversations about
I'll bring it up in therapy.
I know. I am your therapist, and I know.
Since we're kind of getting into that, I think it's a perfect time to open up the floor for, because and we've talked about this last week with talking about Kenobi. We have to take it from certain angles because like discussing, I mean, we're Star Wars fans. We know how we are. We'll psychoanalyze 5 seconds of a frame of a film. I'm looking at you, Nick Milky.
I was about to say, is that a subtweet for Podcast of the Wilds?
There's a reason we had so much fun. It's like, oh no, 5 seconds. I could talk a lot about 5 seconds of Star Wars. But we could break down this entire season to the minutia. But a 7-hour episode would not be fun for anyone. However, we can hit the highlights, and so I wanted to open up to favorite moments from this. Kind of like it sounds like we were all either or like, I had my expectations. I'm not gonna lie. I can't deny myself an imaginative journey with what might come, and I'm gonna say this was not what I expected because I expected Jedi hunters. Somebody had posted an image of the Bad Batch side by side with Sergeant Creel and the Task Force 99 stormtroopers from Star Wars comics, and I'm like, I could see it. I would be okay with it. I'd kind of love it.
I think you told me at one point, like, that's what I want.
Yeah, so I was kind of team they turn bad, they Jedi hunt, kind of like give me some Force Unleashed levels of like hunting down Jedi. But clearly we went in a different direction. So but I was very happy with what we got, and it sounds like we all are. So what of what we got were some of your favorite moments? Eli, you already kind of mentioned Cad Bane and whatnot, but any other big ones for you?
I was going to say, first of all, thank God they didn't become Jedi hunters, because that just leaves more jobs out there for the lovable klutz that is OGF Festoon. And by the way, I have shifted my expectations after reading Shadow of the Sith. Now I want him, I used to want him in The Mandalorian, but given a few things that wouldn't work as well for me now. I mean, I'd still take it, of course, but like my optimal appearance for him is in the Bad Batch season 2. Like I want the Emperor to sick him after the Bad Batch. I want to see that chaos.
More Ochi is not a bad thing, so I'm here for
Gundam
it.
helmet, yeah.
Oh,
never. But I was gonna talk about Rampage. I was gonna talk about Rampage, with the Rancor. Like
Muchi.
Yeah, Muchi and the that entire episode. I remember because I wasn't because I remember the episode before Cornered. I wasn't crazy about, and then I'm like, and they're like, okay, they're going to like this Nigerian camp, and they're taking on a Rancor. I'm like, oh, the show just got really metal really fast. I'm like, this is cool.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great example of an episode where, like I said, they managed to inject it's going to sound stupid, but like they managed to inject like the core substance of the story into what could be described as filler episodes. Like, you know, and yes, we're on record as at Nerdherder as not, but you know, it's an episode where they're going out for a romp because we're not quite ready to debut this character yet, or whatever. We've got to build up to the climax, and so it's very easy for it to be just fun. It's just a fun episode where they go tame a Rancor. But I like little tidbits of where we get, you know, story injected in there of maybe Hunter and Omega have a moment, or maybe Tech and Echo have a moment. You know, you get those little sidebars where it's like, oh no, here's the real story. Here's these characters opening up and becoming more interesting. And so same thing with that episode where it's just like we still get those tidbits where we find out and we stretch in our understanding of these characters. So I not an episode wasted in season 1, and I'm hoping we'll have a perfect record for season 2 as well. But Muchi's amazing. Baby Rancor was not on my list, but we got it, and I love it. I love it. Any other big moments for you, Eli?
I'm trying to look. I'm looking at the episodes right now. I'm just scrolling through. I'm like trying to see what I remember. I mean, I feel like I had to bring it up eventually, but like both parts of the finale are fantastic. Sure. But I think especially that first part, where we see the entire squad fighting again, even with Crosshair to face those droids, just like they did in the beginning of the season. We get that like opening and closing parallel, which is really cool. Seeing that Crosshair voluntarily removed his chip and then stays with the Empire anyway is
that was crazy.
I remember I'd heard Alex mention that on Star Wars Explained like a few weeks earlier. I'm like, that'd be interesting. I don't think they're gonna do that though. And then they did. I'm like,
yeah, because like much like the characters, we're kind of thinking, or I know I was definitely in the boat of like, if they could just strap him down and get that out of there, he'd be a normal boy for a little bit. No. Like, but you know, finding out like, no, this is my choice. I've made this choice. Had a whole lot more impact than I expected it to, and more than I was looking to get for sure.
Yeah,
I thought I agree. I think that was good.
Yeah, it's great, and of course, like transitioning into Camino Lost a little bit, but like it starts in that first part of the finale, but like seeing the destruction of the Kaminoan facilities, which I remember a lot of people were like, "Oh, there's gonna be a rebellion by the Kaminoans that's put down."
No,
and honestly, I actually think I like this better. I like the Empire just like you know, there were a few inklings of maybe rebellion here and there, but really the Empire was just like, okay, and your facilities, we don't need them anymore, so bye.
Yeah,
exactly.
Especially that Tarkin was the one, you know, just showing us even this early in the Empire what he's all about. That ruthlessness, that rule by fear. He's like, you know, we could try and save these facilities. You know, they have vast wealths of knowledge and technology and capabilities. Nah, we just got to drive the point home, wipe it off the map, go for it. Like, just showing unequivocally
we get the infamous
who he
line,
is.
which is probably the first time, like, chronologically, that Tarkin said it, with the "Yo me fa when ready," and like,
Right.
it's never been more chilling.
Absolutely. Well, because I mean, and again, you know, back to what this original episode's idea was, what like that is such a definitive. It's done. Like, you know, it's not just for the clones, but for Star Wars fans for 10 years, that was home. That represented a familiarity and an era for animation and what Star Wars was before, you know, the Disney acquisition and everything. So it's like this is done. We're moving forward. Obviously, that doesn't wipe it away, but you know, emotionally, it had a whole lot of weight. And I for one am curious and would love to know what the Emperor thought when the report came across his desk of just like, and we destroyed the cloning facility, and it's like, dang it, I was going to use that. Like, that was my backup plan, guys. Come on.
That was Plan J.
And I think that's why we got weird crippled clone Palpatine in
Probably.
episode 9. You know, Sith magic.
Speaking of like weird cloning stuff, and I know this is like technically probably also a teaser for season 2, but I just can't not talk about it. The ending scene of Bad Batch season 1, of that second part, where Nala Se is taken to the factory and it's revealed to be Mount Tantus on Wayland from the original Thrawn trilogy. Like, I can't say that doesn't intrigue me. Like, what's going on there?
Right. Well, and I absolutely do think, I mean, obviously, them dropping it there, it's going to play in, and I think it has to because of that intrigue. And I love that they've learned that in Star Wars. Like, you don't have to show all your cards. You can definitely save some for later.
Yeah.
Because, again, I think this series being character driven, making people like me who are kind of okay, sure, about these characters, really care for them by the end of it. Like, I appreciate the direction they took with that, so that as soon as season 2 starts off, I'm in it. I love these boys. I want to see what they're going to get into. I want to know how they're doing at life, but also how they're going to kind of push back, because they obviously can't quit that part of themselves. And so I definitely think that's an intriguing direction to go, and a way to, again, stretch it beyond. This isn't just about a ragtag group of clones. This has great stakes in the state of the galaxy in this story.
Yeah.
Jacob, any big moments for you? Even if maybe we mentioned them already, but anything you want to add to it?
I mean, very obviously, I would say Order 66. Like, to open up with that, holy cow! It's one of those moments that just really, really sticks with me. I watch it over and over again. It's so chilling. The tonal shift, it happens so quickly. You can just kind of like feel. There's that one shot. I'm getting goosebumps even now just thinking about it. There's that one shot where you see the hologram, and you hear like some like unintelligible chatter in the radio, and in that one moment, all the oxygen just gets sucked out.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh my God, we are gonna watch this happen. We are gonna sit and watch this, and it's absolutely incredible. And I'm definitely a sucker for the moments that I think the animated shows, especially the Clone Wars Saved Season 7 and the Bad Batch, does very well. These kind of seismic shift moments, you know, whether it's Maul talking about the new power will rise and there's going to be this vacuum and the Jedi just don't know it yet, but everything, and the Order 66 scenes in the Clone Wars. I think that's one thing that they do really, really well, especially in the Bad Batch, is kind of giving that sense of like, this is like everything previously came to this moment, and the galaxy will never ever be the same. And on that same note, for that same reason, I think, the destruction of Camino and the sun rising on the ruins of Tapoca City, after all is said and done, is just that is also a staggering moment.
Yeah.
Literally the closest thing to Filoni and everyone just saying, we are wiping the slate. Like, we started this process with the beginning of the Bad Batch, but the last gasp of the era of the clones and the Jedi and the droids, it's gone. It's the Empire's day now.
Absolutely.
And
that's what excites me.
There was one moment I forgot to mention, and I can't believe I forgot this, but it has to do with my sweet baby boy, Cut LaCoin. I love that guy. Jacob has heard me. Jacob has heard me wax poetic about why. So the Deserter is my favorite episode of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. It is beautiful. It just does everything right. And so I saw the episode so I remember when Aftermath came out, the first one, and I saw they were going to, like, people calculated, they're going to Seleucumai. I'm like, they're going to see Cut and his kids.
Yeah,
I'm not emotionally ready for this. And that episode, again, while not personally in my opinion as great as Deserter, but like, again, that's only because the Deserter was a once in a lifetime sort of thing, and there's nothing that, like, anyway, but it delivered that great ending capstone that we saw, that Cut and his family were okay and they're escaping to live a normal, peaceful life together. Just gets me. I also just thought about this weird parallel that I can't believe I didn't notice before, when Jacob was talking about the sun rising on the now destroyed Camino. I was thinking of the similarities between Crosshair's reflection on that watery planet of Camino at the very end, when he's just standing there, and Tam Ravora's reflection on the now vacant Castellon in the second season of Rebels. Not Rebels, like the Resistance. And both of those are characters who Crosshair betrayed his brothers and went to the Empire. Tam betrayed her found family to go to the First Order. Tam, one of the things that happens with Tam shortly after that is she turns back. And I wonder if there could be a similar inflection point for Crosshair as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've established in Star Wars, you've never gone too far. Look at Anakin Skywalker, for Pete's sake, if you need any evidence of that. Look at Ben Solo. Like, look at all these characters who have done atrocities, but all it takes is someone to see the good in them. And it's that simple. And I definitely think we're going to get a moment with Omega in season 2 between her and Crosshair, or Hunter, for Pete's sake.
Clearly, she reached Crosshair even subtly in that last exchange there, more than her brothers could or would. And there's something special about how she brings out the best of every character, and I love that that's not exclusive of Crosshair. He's included in that. That she can reach deeper to what's going on internally with him, emotionally with him, and so I'd love if she's the one to help him.
I'm a big fan of what I internally call the barnacle trope, where it's a character that has latched onto another character so hard, and I refuse to let go. And you're gonna love me as much as you must love me exactly as I love you. I'm all great.
My thing with, I feel like it's weird that I've gone this whole conversation without talking about Omega, because, like, I remember when Omega as a character was announced, and we and there was a kid who was going to be tagging along with the Bad Batch, and I didn't hate it by any means. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting idea for a character. And then after the first episode, I'm like, I want to squeeze you and hold you and never let you go.
Exactly.
So precious.
It's the Omega effect.
Absolutely. Well, I know for me, I saw a lot of the parallels with the Mandalorian, of like, okay, kind of hard, stoic character getting warmed up by this cute, lovable kid.
This is the Dad Batch.
But right. but I love, and again, and that was what kept me throughout this show. Was it was a lot of fun, and buried in the fun, not buried even, it was within the fun, we also had emotional weight and meaningful connections, usually again with Omega in the mix with other characters and those around. And so coming to find out her pseudo meaning, finding out in the last couple of episodes more about how she factors in, as this sort of counter to Boba Fett, this sort of preservation of the strand and whatnot. Maybe even the first of the Bad Batch, in a way, because she predates all of them. Because I'm right, nerd
Yeah.
Eli, producer man. That like she's like
Fact
Boba.
checker Eli.
She's unaltered, right?
Yeah, and so legitimately, I forgot about those details because I haven't watched The Bad Batch in a long time, and now because that is actually a series that I'm well aware I'm in need of a rewatch, which is why I'm glad that we're getting to it on In a Galaxy in about a month or so. But yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, see, she is technically older than all of them.
Yeah.
Right. 10-year-old. It's weird.
And
so strange.
That revelation too, it made perfect sense. Like it was, Lamasu was so, naturally just like, oh yeah, and he asked for a kid, and not taking advantage. Like surely they would, stow away their own clean copy of Django as well.
Yeah, we're gonna file this over here.
That part of it, I want to know. Omega's the one character that was really the biggest revelation we got about her character. Everyone else we explored very well. I think Omega is coming up in season 2. I definitely think we have to, and I want to learn more about her and how she plays into the clone agenda. But yeah, I don't know. I love Omega. I love how they made her matter in her own unique way. She's not a copy of the child, Grogu. It's not a rehash of a trope. She is her own wonderful, lovable character, as they all are. Star Wars has a way of doing that where like it feels familiar, but they make it unique. The more you spend time with it. The mighty Boop. What about you and some big
encourage
moments?
Me. Well, obviously Moochie, big fan, love that babe. I definitely was not expecting a Rancor.
And I want to add, because of the Moochie love here and amongst our fellow friends of the internet, Pablo, I believe, did highlight that Moochie is not the name, and they haven't outright said the canon name of the Rancor in Episode 6. So it's entirely likely Moochie is okay.
But it's also very possible.
Well, actually, because I remember when this happened with I actually remember this. This was a conflict. This is a topic of some debate when Lego Skywalker Saga released, because they had the Rancor playable in game, and the Rancor's name was Patissa Moochie.
Oh, okay. So then
it implied that was the same Rancor. And I remember like Pablo. I remember Pablo was like, after the episode, but before Skywalker Saga, he's like, it doesn't have to be the same Rancor. And then the game releases and we're like, but it's the same Rancor though, right?
Now
Pablo,
I'm sad.
Is it the same Rancor?
Now I'm
As
sad.
you should be, because Star Wars makes you sad.
Moochie lives on in my heart.
Exactly.
Regardless. Pablo Hidalgo be darned.
Don't say that.
No. I want that man on our show to talk about Transformers one day.
Never Star Wars, just Transformers.
Yes.
Give that man some rest, for Pete's sake. Yes, Moochie was definitely big. That entire episode is fantastic. I love the concept of an animal that you have to beat by a flurry of punches until one or both of you gets tired. Yeah. I'm a big fan of that. And just I love Rancor designs so much. I love the Rancor from Book of Boba Fett even more.
Oh, yes.
He's such a beautiful boy. It was that, and then of course, like Eli said, Cad Bane. I was expecting we would get some kind of, Clone Wars character in. Wasn't expecting Cad Bane though.
That's true.
Like, I love seeing bounty hunters in any capacity. So of course, of course.
And I love the double implication of like, all right, clones of Django have gone awry. We need help. Let's call
Yeah.
Cad Bane, the
guy
second
that
best
we
bounty
know.
hunter in the galaxy.
The second best. Thank you very much.
You know,
because
hey,
the best is of course IG-88.
Apparently Boba Fett
Oh,
is back.
okay.
He's running rampage on Tatooine. We need someone to settle scores. Let's call the second best bounty hunter in the galaxy. Like, I love that Cad Bane is who they call when they have a problem with a Fett.
Exactly.
He is a Fett exterminator, but he's so bad at his job.
I heard that. Okay.
He is very bad at his job.
Yes, he is. And you'll be very proud of me. I remembered this time. He is a Duros.
He is.
There you go. I know some things about Star Wars. Some things.
I love that blue boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I think the biggest thing for me was, I don't know, I think Cad Bane was very surprising and meaningful for me. I think it's just that it was immediately followed up with confirmation of, oh dang, that reel is technically still canon.
Yeah.
Like it always was for me.
Yeah.
So it was like, the thing.
And just talking about it reminds me of, if you didn't listen to our Book of Boba Fett episode, if you want to see pure joy on both of our faces, just us talking about Cad Bane showing up.
For sure.
That was such a moment.
That is a magical moment. Like, I'm not a Cad Bane fan, and this is my thing. Like, I don't actually like the character of Cad Bane, but the amount of times that Star Wars has made me cheer for Cad Bane is frankly incredible.
Absolutely.
I loved his going on a bit of tangent. I loved his role in Book of Boba Fett. I thought it was perfectly executed, and one of the things I really hope to be on brand is I really hope that beeping light doesn't mean anything.
Oh no.
I hope he comes back.
I don't know.
Just to spite you. No,
a big stab to the chest.
I genuinely love it. Like, I was the one petitioning, like, oh, Captain Phasma should be in episode 9. Like, I want her to just keep coming back. Just
Exactly.
like, why
It's
won't
funny.
you die? I
hilarious.
love it. And in the same heartbeat of that, that reveal, we get Fennec Shand showing up.
Oh my gosh.
Was an early tease. They dropped that early on of like, hey, this new fan favorite's coming back again as well.
Eternal fan favorite.
Love that. I also love that she doesn't look like she's aged a day in her life, apparently.
Exactly. Space cowboy forever.
I mean,
yes.
I mean, Ming-Na Wen, how can you go wrong?
Exactly.
You can't.
Yeah, that Fennec Shand is a really incredible character for me, because she is one of the first times we've actually gotten to see, and I've actually gotten to say this, a character go from live action to animation in TV shows specifically. Like, it's usually the other way around, but we're at such a place now that we can say, oh no, she made her debut in live action TV, and now she's going to animation.
Right. So good we had to animate her.
Yeah.
Well, and in that wheelhouse, for me, one of my favorite moments and favorite episodes overall was the episode with Saw Gerrera, where he showed up, because he can be another one of those characters where it's like, oh, okay, here he is again. But every time he does, the way he plays off of the characters is always interesting, and of course that being a big are you really about this business, Crosshairs? Because we're gonna be doing this business. I just really enjoyed seeing the darkness of the Empire and their willingness to replace the clones and to stamp out any sort of rebellion and whatnot. I thought it was
did a great job
a
of
great
that.
episode. Yeah, and one where our heroes kind of take a little bit of they get the ball rolling, and then I think it's really about Crosshairs and such. But
I'll give a little tease for both of you, actually. Okay,
what's that?
Sorry. Oh, I was gonna say I'll give a little tease for both of you, actually. Saw Gerrera and the Bad Batch may or may not weigh in the most recent filmed Epic Confrontation that we're releasing.
Ooh,
just saying.
I'm now more intrigued than I was before. Well, as we wrap up, Jacob has a bedtime to get his sweet
It's
little
true.
boy hours. So we'll start with you. But in closing, I wanted to obviously look ahead. We know we're getting season 2, right? It's happening. So, what's one thing you're all hoping to get and
Rapid
see? And
fire.
again, speculate responsibly. But what if you could? What's something you want, Jacob? You can start us off.
I'm just
And get your beauty rest.
Yeah. So sorry about I had a hard stop that I forgot to mention.
It's all good.
I'm
You're
terribly
good.
sorry. That's my bad.
No, you're
But
fine.
I would say just more of clones, of different clones. Could be any number of clones that we've seen or haven't seen. Ones who did participate in Order 66, grappling with that and dealing just with that, thinking about the Kanan comic, how they're the clones there, and we see them. If you're familiar, I believe it's the Kanan comic. One of the clones ends up, shooting the control panel.
Yeah, he kind of
of the
snaps
ship.
back a little
He
bit.
snaps back, and it would be really interesting to see, if given the opportunity to do something like that, would the creators of the Bad Batch do a similar result? Would the result be different? How would they approach that? That is something that I would be really excited to see.
I like that. I like that a lot. And any mention of the Kanan comic that everyone should be reading
Yes.
is good by me. So, well, Jacob, a hearty thank you for joining us. Enjoyed having you and look forward to having you again sometime soon, buddy.
Thank you both very, very much. This was a lot of fun. Keep up the great work.
Aww.
Stop.
Eli, you're going to have to outdo that exit later.
It's true.
Apparently.
Yes, Andy, more Daddy Hauser, please.
Yes, more Hauser.
That haircut,
It is a choice.
Yes.
I had that haircut for a little while.
So I'll go ahead and say, just because that's my answer. Like I'll agree with Jacob. And I already kind of know we're getting it. I want it to be what it is. Like Cody showing up. I really want him to be the one who struggles with this post Order 66 stuff, because Order 66 really didn't affect the Bad Batch other than starting them on this journey. So I want to see someone who is emotionally invested in what has happened and what they have done. Because as far as he's concerned, he killed Kenobi.
Yeah.
So I want to see him deal with that. I think he'd be an interesting character to explore. So that's the one thing I know we're getting, but that I'm most intrigued and want more of, for sure. Eli, what about you?
So I'm gonna bring back one that I mentioned earlier because I just feel like I can't not. But if we but I just want an episode like Cornered with Fennec Shand. Just replace Fennec with OG, and we got a good episode on you. Look, all I want. This is this. I liked it. I loved him in The Rise of Skywalker as this like mysterious, creepy guy. But then they made him an idiot, and he got even better. And so all I want him to do is slit someone's throat, like be all badass and assassin, like slit someone's throat, have the body fall to the floor, trip over the body. That's all I want. That's all I want.
The perfect mingling of both personalities of Ochi of the Steel.
Yeah, it is great. I also had this idea. I mentioned this. I was doing a predictions episode on In a Galaxy a few weeks ago. I mentioned this as an interesting idea for the Bad Batch, and I've actually been thinking about it more. Because the Bad Batch have proven themselves to be pretty good at what they do. So obviously the Empire is going to have to send some better people after them. And I was thinking, what happens if you involve Inquisitors?
Ooh.
Because remember, these are not the Inquisitors you see in Kenobi or Rebels. These are not Inquisitors who know what exactly they're doing yet. This is not that long after 66. So we don't know how old any of them are.
Sure.
We don't know who's really active other than Grandy over there. But imagine if there was just some teenage young adult Inquisitor and they're threatening because they can use the Force and they do have a lightsaber and all that kind of stuff. But they're not like up to the level that we see in Kenobi or Rebels.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot, actually. I mean, it makes sense. Like, you obviously created this clone army in part to kill Force users, specifically Jedi, but like clearly they had to be of a certain degree. It'd be interesting to turn the tables and be like, all right, now we're gonna have to turn to who we had hoped they'd kill to deal with these crazy boys. That's really good, Eli. Oh man, that's really good. And
I
just the
like that idea.
possibilities of who could show up, who that could be, are interesting as well.
I just had it. I know who they could do, which wouldn't be weird because not a complete child. And like they're actually like an adult or late teens ish, so it wouldn't be weird just to have like a child with a red lightsaber running after them.
I love that though.
Yeah, but I was thinking Trilla, second sister from Fallen Order, would be fantastic. Especially because she's the best character in that game.
Fantastic story for that character, unexpected. But yeah, like you could do Trilla, Grandy, and what's the one from the Mace Windu comic? Come on, nerd boy, come through for me. I don't
think
remember
that's
his name.
10th brother, right? 10th brother.
Yeah, he's one of the higher ones.
I just looked him up. Proset Dibs.
There you go.
That is an awesome name.
Because I know sometime after, probably within the first month or so, eventually he meets his fate. But he would have been on board around Order 66. I'm kind of for it. That's really good. I like that. I like that a lot. I didn't expect Inquisitors to be on my bingo card, but it's going to be for Bad Batch Season 2. All the Inquisitors. Give me all of them.
I frankly, now that Boop's validated my idea of like young kids running around with lightsabers, frankly, give me Reva. I don't care. Give me young kid Reva.
I just love the idea of a child with a lightsaber.
Yes, honestly, more of Trilla deserves more. Again, the way they spun that character around in Jedi Fallen Order was incredible. And honestly, I think the reason why I came around, I loved Grand Inquisitor, but obviously in Rebels, they're very bumbly and just kind of generic foils to the characters. Trilla in Jedi Fallen Order, and in part the Ninth Sister as well, made Inquisitors interesting to me, and obviously now Kenobi. Yeah, I think turn around, put Reva in there because I thought she was fantastic in the show. I'd love to see her early on. I think she's the fierce type that you would want to go after these troublesome clone boys.
Or if you want to make it really campy, put the eighth brother in there.
Yes, you should.
Would have some fun.
I know people hate that guy. I love the eighth brother. Love the eighth brother. He is so silly, and I love him so much.
People just need to learn to have more fun.
Exactly. Just lean into the spin.
Razor blades on the lightsaber. Reason to have those, and it's awesome.
Exactly.
Just flying around.
Like at least Maul and not in the Maul, 7th and 5th get like Maul actually chopping them down. No. The eighth brother, his helicopter saber just breaks down in midair, and he just crashes.
Exactly.
Rolf Copter let him down, man. That's a callback.
That is a callback.
Mighty Boop, once again. What's a big thing for you? What's something you're really latched on to for this season? Maybe something we're getting, like me. I'm generic. Okay, Cody. It's an easy out, but or maybe something just out of left field for you.
More bounty hunters.
I'm for it too.
Every single bounty hunter you can muster up. I want Embo. I want. I want Embo. Like
we haven't seen his fate after Clone Wars, so yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Like, I'd like to think that he's just living on a farm with his good boy and a banjo, but like, I
And
don't
then he
think
gets
that's
the
gonna
call.
Exactly.
Wait, actually, I don't think that's true. Wait, I think there was. Oh yeah, because he was in Aftermath. I was just looking it up. He's in Aftermath.
Oh.
Never mind.
Yeah, because he was in
So
Cobb Vanth's gang, wasn't he?
no,
see.
he was
No?
Oh.
Or was that
he
Dingy? I'm
I don't
misremembering my
know.
Aftermath.
I
need to go
haven't
back
read,
and
but I
recap.
remember that he survived. Let's see, where
Good.
where was he? Yeah, he was in Empire's End, the third book.
Nice.
He was with Sugi's niece, which is weird, but
There we go.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's more of a pop in, but
We should get Dirge.
oh, I'm for
yes,
that.
please, thank you.
Now that he's recanonized, like he would be a good
Oh,
Terminator-esque like killing machine.
That would be perfect.
No, I love Dirge. I'm a huge fan of Dirge. Dirge is again.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
love
He's a big goofy
I
boy.
love my silly, goofy, just because we can Star Wars. That's my thing. And so
Oh, yeah.
Dirge is absolutely like. But my favorite thing is we were watching Jacob and I were watching the 2D Gendy Tartakovsky Clone Wars for In a Galaxy a few years ago, and my favorite thing is still when Obi-Wan stabs him through the chest with a lightsaber, and he just laughs.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's when you're like,
it's
oh,
the best thing ever.
oh man, Gendy was amazing at Star Wars. I would love to see him like. It's one of those things where I wish animation did more of what the live action shows do, and they bring in other directors. It's like, yeah, we have a set style, we have a set story, but we're bringing you in to bring your flair to it. Like, give me some Gendy in Star Wars again.
Yeah, let's
coming
get
up
Gendy Star
20
Wars when
years
he's
later.
not hamstrung by because that's Clone Wars was when he did what he did under pressure.
Exactly. Now let's let him loose on some with his own passion. He would be amazing.
Exactly.
I would love to see him animate. I know they were going with particular artists and whatnot for Visions, but I'd love to see him in Visions. I'd love to
Absolutely.
see what he can do with Star Wars
Let
in a
him
modern
loose.
age. Embo gets another
Yes.
vote from Andy as well. Yeah,
Man, I love a big hat.
again, I was kind of joking about Cad Bane, but in general, I like the idea of sending bounty hunters after clones of a bounty hunter. I like the irony that's there of turning to the scum and villainy to deal with clones and this copy. Yeah, if it's Imbo, great. If it's Dirge, great. If it's someone new,
Yeah.
also great. We always need more bounty hunters in the galaxy
We
far,
do.
far away.
But if it's IG-88,
Voiced by Taika Waititi.
voiced
Boom.
by
We've come full
Taika.
circle.
He needs to be
Yeah.
every single IG model. I don't care.
Yeah,
Yes,
I don't object to that.
180.
There's another bounty hunter I was just thinking of, and I cannot remember his darn name. Jacob and I have this ongoing meme on In a Galaxy. He's from the game. I know he's from the game Star Wars Bounty Hunter, which we watched for In a Galaxy. Montross, yes,
There you
that's
go.
who it is.
He is the bounty hunter.
Yeah,
I love that game
Yes.
so much. Right.
Jacob and I, it was our first time seeing that, and we were just like, "What is this game? This game is so incredibly
It is
just
PS2.
yeah." But it was like this game is so incredibly it was so goofy, but it was also yeah, these vibes are good. I like these the vibes we're getting off in these. No, but I know Django kills Montross in Bounty Hunter, but imagine if they bring him into canon and say that he was just a rival of Django's and they never fought like that, and have Montross be facing off a bunch of clones against a bunch of clones of Django.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot because again, there's the irony there because it would with them recanonizing Jaster Muriel. He was never decanonized, but they've said, we've seen, all right, Jaster, Django, Boba. We've seen the lineage. That means, all right, Jaster's foil was Montross. I'd like to see that come full circle for the characters. And you know what? Because I did a cop-out answer, I'd also throw in there, all the talk of bounty hunters made me think of it. What if we get Boba?
What if we get Boba?
What if we get Boba and his gang to come after him? That would bring Imbo in as well.
And Bosk.
Yeah.
Bosk. This is the big one for me.
Oh yeah.
Dengar.
I like a lot of the juices happening right here. I hope Filoni and team are listening. This is what the people want, Dave.
This is what 3 people want.
This is what people
Jacob
want.
specifically wants. We can speak for him because he's not here, and you can trust that we believe him.
I also just learned that Montross is voiced by Clancy Brown of all people.
Yes, he
which
is.
is just a detail that I didn't know I needed to know, but that's great.
Well, and that was what was funny because when you mentioned it, I was like, yes, because Clancy Brown needs more Star Wars work.
He does, though.
He has Ryder Azadi, he has Savage Press. I mean,
he's in there, and he's
a good boy.
Great, but like it's Clancy Brown. Like, you know, when he came on as Ryder, that's just his voice. He's not even doing anything for it. Like, but no, I like all of this. Who knows what we will get? Only Dave, really, but
only Dave.
We'll have to wait. In a few short months, we will get our answers. We will get more Bad Batch, and if you can't tell, we're excited for it and hope that anyone checking this out is as well. And guess what? After the fact, you hear this, you watch this, whatever. Let us know. Hit us up on social media and let us know what your thoughts on Bad Batch are, what your hopes and dreams are for season 2. We promise we will send them all to Dave Filoni and make all of your dreams come true. That is the promise.
Through line to Dave Filoni.
That's the promise of Nerdherder.
Yeah, because you guys are the shills, right? You guys are the shills
yes,
that do everything and get paid for it.
And
the check's in the mail.
Speaking of, we've got to go cash our check actually
exactly.
now. You know, we've got all of 2 cents for our shilling of the past year. But no, we do receive lovely monies from our patrons, of which you can be one if you want. If you want to support this madness and send our cats to college, you can totally do that, and we will not stop you. We will wonder often why, but you can do it. In fact, our patrons have some lovely gifts coming out soon for their patronage and just for being cool people. So if you want gifts occasionally, if you want to be included on decisions for content and you know, share your ideas and passion for Star Wars with us directly, you can totally do that by joining our Patreon. Or you can just happily listen to every episode.
Every single episode.
Thank you so much. And you can share it. And you can also do yourself a favor in checking out In a Galaxy podcast. Eli, what do you guys over there in a Galaxy have coming up that our people can check out?
Yeah, thanks so much for having us on, first of all. Second of all, we have some great stuff. As Jacob mentioned, we are in a weird kind of break in our show. Like, not break, but like we're in a weird transitionary period where we just finished up the Clone Wars. We just finished up that era. And we're trying to stall for time for Bad Batch Season 2 so we can cover it not when it's immediately out, because we are not, no shade to those who are, but we're just not a news show. We don't like doing things like that close. We want to have a little bit of time for things.
Yeah.
But we're doing what we're unofficially calling season 10 and a half of Star Wars in a Galaxy, where we're doing the 6 vision shorts that take place before the original trilogy. We did 2. We just posted that actually an hour or 2 ago. So you can check that out. Yeah. And on, let's see, what day is it on? Also on our YouTube channel on Saturday. No, that's not true. I was on a different month. On Wednesday, we are debuting Epic Confrontation 3. We run a monthly trivia show. We have good friends of I Know This Show and our show, Alden Diaz and Jared, the Dark Jedi, facing off. No matter what you think is going to happen in the match, I can tell you you're wrong. I was not prepared for this one. Like, it is crazy what goes on. And it was a real treat to do. And we're excited. And we also announced the next 2 that we're doing. So
looking forward to
that.
Hey,
we have those.
Throw in some bird facts and I'm down.
Bird trivia. Boop will throw down. Awesome. Well, yeah, and as we mentioned up top, when we were thinking of, well, obviously we were going to talk about Bad Batch, but when we were thinking of, all right, who are our Star Wars animation friendos? Obviously, you guys came to mind. You are lovely and passionate people when it comes to Star Wars as a whole, but you love animation, and we love you. So it was an absolute joy and easy choice to have you all join us, and we will have to do it again very, very soon.
Absolutely.
Again, season 2 is coming out. Resistance Remembered anniversary is coming up. It's not as celebrated as Rebels Remembered, but I celebrate it in my heart every year because I miss that dang show so much.
Resistance is so great.
Everyone do yourselves a favor. Stop everything you're doing, including this podcast, and go
No.
watch.
Don't
Well,
do that.
finish the podcast and then go watch.
And then watch
Star Wars
Resistance. Yeah.
Join
Exactly.
us.
No,
Join us.
I've been annoying to people because not enough people in our friend group and who I'm inviting on for the trivia stuff have seen Resistance, so I don't put it in. But I've like 6 or 7 times been like, "Can I please put it in? I want to though."
Like you should do it.
Questions about
Force them to
Resistance.
watch it for trivia's
If
sake.
you want to win,
I've been really considering it. I've been really considering it.
Ooh.
It'd be amazing.
The ultimate battle between Scotty J-Ro and Jared the Dark Jedi. Resistance tree.
It's just it's just an entire match of Resistance questions.
Exactly.
Oh man, that would be an amazing one. But yeah, so many future things that we can and will collaborate on. So you'll see these good boys back again, and we wish you, Eli, and of course Jacob, in spirit, very well in your future content, and look forward to having you on again soon. In the meantime, though,
Absolutely.
everybody else, you can stay scrubbed.
Wait a minute. You know, this is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee.